we go.
All right, welcome back to Metal Messiah Radio. You're listening to Toby and Lori on the Powerslaves show. And today we have our special guests from France. We are interviewing Furies today. We have Sam and Zaza. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, great. We're great. We're really happy to be here with you.
Fantastic. How are you doing, Sam?
Pretty well.
So tell us about Furies. How did you start, and what was the year that you started?
In fact, Furies, I decided to put up a band in 2013. Just at the beginning, it was only an all-girl female band, and in 2 years later, I met Linda Bastard, the singer who's also the bass player, and we decided to do a mixed band, in fact. So the two girls at the guitars left the band, and so we recruited two guys. So here is Sam Flash.
The boys are backing down. The boys are backing down.
And also Billy Laser. They are both lead guitars, in fact. So they are doing guitar battles and everything.
A little rivalry going on.
Sorry?
A little bit of rivalry going on with the guitars.
Absolutely not. No.
I mean, on stage we're not rival, but off maybe a little bit. Because we're guitarists, and all the guitarists can say the same thing.
Yes. But what's nice with both guitarists, Sam and Billy, that Billy is a left-handed guitarist, and on stage it's like symmetry because Sam is right-handed. So both guitars are like symmetric, you know.
Oh, that's,
so that's really
nice.
Looks like a butterfly on stage.
I bet it looks great too.
So yes, since in fact we really have this lineup since 2016, and this is we released our first album in October 2020. And here we are. Here we are.
So as far as like past projects, so you had Fury started out as just a female project, and now you're integrated, and this was your first album as your current lineup, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you think you're being received as that?
We're really surprised and really happy. In fact, it's how the album was welcomed by the people. We didn't expect, as I told you before, that people across the ocean or in other countries than ours, maybe in Germany because we already played there, but it was a very good surprise to release this album and to see how the people received it and how they were really nice and sending us love messages about this. So, in fact, that's really cool because the story of Furies that started as an all-female band. It was not for the good reasons. In fact, I wanted to do an all-female band at the beginning because I like working with girls and I like sorority.
Yeah.
But in fact, I think I missed the essential point of putting up a band, and it's what's important.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but you're right. In fact, a mixed band is much better. In fact, because there is something like equilibrium. Like I don't know how to say that. It's like it's fair, you know. It's And the important thing is the alchemy between the band members and not their sex, in fact. And that, it's what's important is to have the same goals and the same wishes in music,
Well, and
So-
you get a different perspective when you have, when you have men and women, you get a different dynamic and perspective too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are all. Sorry, my English is not very good.
It's
we
fine.
all have different backgrounds in music, so we can do much more things than before they were in a more hard rock dynamic, and now we put some thrash things, we put some more heavy metal things, we put just more melody and shred and all this stuff. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you all bring something different to the table based on your background.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guys had a level way higher than the girls that were here before.
Okay.
So they
brought,
no, but they brought so much more to the band. In fact, they are the ones that wrote most of the songs, most of the melodies. So in fact, I also wrote some songs, 2 songs in fact, and Linda is also composing and she writes the lyrics, but the guys are really important in the composition, in the writing of the songs. So I'm so happy that they're here because we wouldn't have made an album like this if it wasn't for Billy and Sam. So
that's fantastic.
Really cool
so
to have met.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it was really cool to have met them, in fact.
Fantastic. I was going to say, so going back to like influences then, as far as like your guitar influences, Sam, who would you say influenced you as far as your guitar playing?
Oh, that's a tough question because maybe I'm a UFO because I don't have one or two specific guitarists that put me on.
Yeah.
It's much more, I'm the youngest in the band. I'm only 24, so I didn't know how the 80s sorry. I'm in love with the 80s aesthetic, 80s music, 80s movies. So, it's much more a global ambience that put me in metal, especially in 80s metal. But if I have to say some dudes, I would say more like, I just don't know. I think the first bands that I've listened was like Exodus, Slayer, Metallica, Norse thrash things.
Okay.
Then after I've discovered the glam things, because before I was like, no, glamsters are posers. So I was like 16, so it's okay. And now I just wear a leopard skirt, and so now I'm a glamster. So
see, and we grew.
But I think it's really glam and thrash that put me in.
And we grew up in the 80s, so for us, that's a really important part of our influence, but yet, it all kind of evolved into, like, loving power metal for what it is and seeing that it's all important. It doesn't have to be poser music or anything like that, but it all resonates all across all of the musical genre.
Yeah, but the difference, I think, is when I discovered the band, I discovered all the band in the same time because it was already done.
Right.
The 80s were over already. So I just discovered the whole thing. And the fact is, in my family, they don't listen to metal or rock music. They're more into classic or jazz or different things. And I discovered heavy metal in video games. And first of all, I found this music was an original soundtrack from the video games.
Right.
I'm talking about the Vice City games, GTA. Maybe you know this game.
Yes.
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
And one day I was on my computer and I just listened to a Slave track and I was like, oh, is this a real band? Oh man, it's a real band. It's not the music from the video games, it's real. And then Van Halen, Anthrax, and all this stuff. So that's a weird door to get in metal.
Right.
But that's my way. So that's why.
Zaza, do you have any influences?
Oh yeah, I have influences. The first song that I wrote for Furies wasn't. They didn't take it because it was too much Metallica. But yeah, I discovered. In fact, I'm the oldest in the band. I'm 40 years old, and in fact, I discovered Metallica when I was like 12 years old from my sister. And then all the normal stuff like Sepultura, Slayer, and everything, because I wanted more and more and more and more metal. But then, as it was the 90s, Metallica and Slayer and all these bands were really popular. But as I grew up as a child in the 80s, I really loved the 80s aesthetic as well. And so one day, an older friend of mine gave me his old cassettes of Judas Priest. Oh. And that was like a shock for me, because it was like, I thought, oh my God, I wanted more violence in music. And I realized that listening to Judas Priest it was possible to listen to metal with beautiful melodies and like speed melodies and harmonies and counterpoints and all this stuff that, because I'm from the classical music, I had a classical education. And so Judas Priest for me was like, oh, I know why I love this music, because it makes me feel like this classical stuff as well. And it was like a passion for me, Judas Priest. So all the bands of the 80s around Judas Priest, for me, were Iron Maiden and everything. For me, the new wave of British heavy metal began to be very important for me. And I like the clear voices and the epic stuff. And so that's my influences. And as well, I love death metal as well, because I have this violent stuff like death metal, thrash metal.
It's very aggressive,
I love the melodies, all the epic stuff. So it was like a secret for me, in fact, because all my friends were listening to more and more violence. I didn't want to assume the fact that I was listening to 80s, like 80s melodic stuff. So, but now I can say it.
Right.
That's pretty fun. Because I experienced the extreme opposite. Like when I was with my friend, I was like, "Oh, I like The Offspring, I like Green Day," and when I was back home, I was like, "Put Slayer on." Extreme opposite.
I think we all kind of went through that, though, at a certain point. Yeah. The people that you hang out with are like, "Oh, Slayer," and you're like over here listening to like LA Guns and Motley Crue, and they're like,
exactly.
"Don't be a poser," and you're like, "I'm not a poser. I like everything."
Yeah, absolutely. I would have liked to stand up for my tastes, for my secret tastes, but I didn't try, because I wanted to be a true metal.
I know, it's funny. You don't want to be labeled as, anything. And now as we get older, it's just like, I like what I want now. I'm allowed to like what I want.